woman in Bahrain seen desecrating idols of Lord Ganesha in a video published online has been charged with intentional damage and publicly insulting a religious symbol. The police said on Sunday that the 54-year-old woman was summoned after the video on social media showed her intentionally damaging a shop and breaking religious idols in the Zufair area in the capital Manama, according to the Interior Ministry. Shortly after, the public prosecution issued a statement saying the woman had admitted to desecrating the idols and was charged with multiple counts of criminal damage and of insulting a religious symbol. She will be tried in court, it added. The video shows two women in a shop standing near a display of the idols. The incident sparked widespread condemnation on social media. Khalid Al Khalifa, advisor to the King of Bahrain and former foreign minister, said the women's actions were unacceptable. He tweeted, "Breaking of religious symbols is not the nature of people of Bahrain. It is a crime of hatred and is rejected."
And here is Bahrain, or Bahrain as the Arabs call it. Now let's get a quick rundown, shall we? From the 4th millennium BC, Bahrain was part of the ancient Dilmun civilization, which at its height around 1900 BC dominated trade in the Persian Gulf, linking Mesopotamia to the Indus Valley. Today, Bahrain is mostly all desert, but back then it was green and fertile, blessed with an abundance of underground fresh water wells that are now dried up. Neighboring civilizations thought of Bahrain as a kind of paradise, but it was simply a nice place of settlements, forests, pearl fishing, and copper bullheads. But you don't need a big Bahrain to know that nothing is forever, and Dilmun civilization ended. It declined and got conquered by the Kassites, a horse-worshipping people who had earlier conquered Babylon. Assyrian rule followed in Dilmun lands, Neo-Babylonian rule followed, then the Achaemenid Persians. Alexander had plans for Bahrain, which the Greeks called Tylos, but he died before anything too big happened. The ensuing Greek Seleucid Empire may have ruled Bahrain, but then the Iranians took over. In the 7th century, Muhammad sent a messenger to Bahrain to preach Islam, and it became among the first Muslim countries. Now, like all faiths and beliefs, Islam too became divided and split into different camps, some believing this, some believing that, and so on. And in the mid-800s in southern Iran, a man was born called Abu Sa'id al-Janabi. He founded the Kamashian state in Bahrain, which back then referred to Eastern Arabia, and made a lot of trouble for the Abbasid Caliphate, spreading a doctrine of Shia Ismailism that believed the Mahdi, the Muslim Messiah, would soon appear, signaling the end of the world. Politically, his state ran on a collectivist proto-communism, with thousands of Ethiopian slaves doing the hard work. But how much trouble did these Kamashians make? It's not like they slaughtered harmless pilgrims, attacked Mecca and Medina, and stole the black stone from the Kaaba, right? Actually, that was exactly what they did, horrifying the Muslim world. In 976, the Abbasids finally defeated the Kamashians, and the Arab Uyyunid dynasty took over. Another Arab dynasty followed, and Medina, and stole the black stone from the Kaaba, right? Actually, that was exactly what they did, horrifying the Muslim world. In 976, the Abbasids finally defeated the Kamashians, and the Arab Uyyunid dynasty took over. Another Arab dynasty followed, but the Persian rulers of Hormuz got control in 1330, who made lots of money transporting slaves from Africa and Arabia into Persia. Another Arab dynasty followed, but then the Portuguese came to town and seized the land and the valuable Gulf trade network. In the early 1600s, the Portuguese were kicked out by a joint English-Persian effort that left Shah Abbas, seen here sporting a magnificent mustache, and Safavid Iran ruling Bahrain. Persian rule ended in 1717 after an Omani invasion, and it took a lot of time and effort and some European help for Persia to get Bahrain back. Years of war and chaos nearly destroyed Bahrain, and the population went way down. But Persians and Arabs continued to fight over the islands, and eventually in 1783, the Arab Al-Khalifa clan got power, and they rule Bahrain to this day. Persia tried a few more times to get Bahrain, and the Omani Sultan actually did invade and tried to install his 12-year-old son as governor, but that didn't work out. He must have been kidding, am I right? By 1820, the British ruled the waves, including those undulating in the Persian Gulf. And in the 1860s, they made treaties with Bahrain that saw Britain effectively in control of Bahraini geopolitics and diplomacy. In exchange for British protection and aid in case of foreign invasion, they also demanded an end to all the slavery going on there. In British hands, Bahrain became very rich and prosperous, and a lot of Indian and Persian merchants moved there and set up shop. But Bahraini anger was stoked in 1892 when Britain formally annexed Bahrain into its empire. But though there was unrest, British rule continued. The Bahraini National Union Committee, a left-wing nationalist group, formed to organize strikes and so on to be rid of the British. Independence came in 1971, but but now the United States ruled the waves and basically took over the operations vacated by the Brits. Bahrain's decision not to rely on oil and diversify its economy was smart, and it became the Middle East's new center of banking after Lebanon fell apart during its civil war. Today, Bahrain is very rich. Now, desire for democratic reform led to years of unrest. Reforms eventually arrived, women were allowed to vote, but unrest returned in 2011 when Bahrain's Shia majority protested against its Sunni leaders. The government's response was brutal. Many died and others were tortured. Not cool. Things were pretty crazy in Bahrain for a while. You might even say things went bananas in Manama. But it's quieted down for now, and let's hope for more peace and reform for these sand-swept islands and their glistening metropolis. And until next time, bye-bye.
Is Bahrain Shia or Sunni? If you're curious about the religious makeup of Bahrain, you're not alone. This small island nation in the Persian Gulf has a rich and diverse religious landscape. Let's break it down. Bahrain is predominantly a Muslim country, with Islam being the official state religion. According to recent statistics, about 70.3% of the population identifies as Muslim. Now, when it comes to the split between Shia and Sunni Muslims, the numbers are quite interesting. Historically, Bahrain was one of the earliest places to adopt Islam, and over time, the Shia sect has become the majority. A survey from 2017 indicates that approximately 62% of Bahrain's Muslim population is Shia, while about 38% are Sunni. This Shia majority is significant because it contrasts with the country's ruling elite, which is predominantly Sunni. The Al Khalifa family, who have ruled Bahrain since the late 18th century, are Sunnis, and this has led to some sectarian tensions over the years. Despite these tensions, it's worth noting that both Sunni and Shia Muslims in Bahrain generally agree on several key issues, such as the importance of coexistence and good ties with their Arab neighbors. However, they do have differing views on issues related to Iran and its regional policies. In summary, Bahrain is predominantly Shia in terms of its Muslim population, with around 62% of Muslims identifying as Shia and about 38% as Sunni. This demographic makeup plays a significant role in the country's social and political landscape.